can and trust that you are doing well. To top stories just for you.
Tonight.
Na kwa sababu mimi namjua sana, najua ataendesha hii mambo yake pia hii yote mpaka na maandamano, lakini mimi najua itaishia wapi.
President William Ruto is optimistic the bipartisan talks will be successful. Ruto says political dispute with Raila Odinga will be resolved soon. Also tonight, widow of revered Mama freedom fighter Mukami Kimathi laid to rest.
Serikali ya Kenya itaungana na nyinyi, tutafute mahali huyo shujaa alizikwa na hiyo aibu, tumtoe pale.
This as government promises to commence official search of Dedan Kimathi's body. Plus, 22 more bodies exhumed from Chakahola Forest, bringing the total deaths to 201. The exhumation exercise set to resume on Tuesday next week.
And PM East African time, you're just in time for TV47 Weekend. Radanyama is on the sign language interpretation. I'm yours truly, Stanley Nyirinkita. You can always talk to us on our socials below your screens at the moment. The tail end of this particular bulletin will be getting into the entertainment bit of it and interviewing the one and only Kendi Kenya. Now, before that, tonight, President William Ruto and Azimio leader Raila Odinga faced off in the first public meeting together during the burial of freedom fighter Mukami Kimathi, where the two leaders squared it off on matters as taxes, the cost of living, last year's election, Azimio protest, and the bipartisan talks in what the leaders called a moment of truth. Apollo Kabau begins our bulletin tonight.
The burial of Mukami Kimathi, wife to freedom fighter Dedan Kimathi, was President William Ruto's convergence point with Azimio leader Raila Odinga, where the two traded barbs, with the president bent on putting to an end Odinga's script of street protests, while an adamant Odinga stuck to his claim of speaking truth to power.
Kenyans will unite, we must also speak truth to power. Mwambia truth to power. Hapana tishwa, hapana ogopa. Unaogopa nini? Lakini unaogopa. Huyu Ruto huyo nimefanya naye kazi kwa muda mrefu sana. Yeye ananijua mimi. Kwa hiyo sasa ile akipiga kelele huko mimi naangalia tu. Najua atapoa.
Na mimi pia namjua sana. Na nimemsoma sana. Ndio nilimshinda akiwa na uhuru. Namjua sana. Na kwa sababu mimi namjua sana, najua ataendesha hii mambo yake pia hii yote mpaka na maandamano, lakini mimi najua itaishia wapi. I know that.
The president and his deputy hit out at Odinga for his silence during the handshake regime, saying it created a mess in the economy, leaving them with a huge debt and a poor performing economy.
Gharama ya maisha imepanda. Hapana leta ushuru mingi zaidi. Hapana ni weko tena mzigo mwingine juu yake. Punda imechoka. Jamaa hawaambii wewe. Mimi niweze kuambia wewe tu.
Hapo kwa cost of living nakubaliana na wewe, lakini nyinyi ndio mliharibu. Wacha mimi nirekebishe. Na hao wakulima mimi nafanya kazi na wao. Jambo la pili, umesema kuna watu hawaniambii ukweli. Sasa mimi sijui, mimi ndio siambiwi ukweli ama wewe ndio waambiwi ukweli. Because hiyo unasema nimeongeza sijui ushuru, nimeongeza ushuru. Mimi nataka nikuambie my friend, ukiangalia kwa budget kuna watu wa kuambia ukweli. Nimepunguza sehemu karibu 20 ya mambo ya ushuru. Nimeondoa karibu bilioni 500 ya madeni katika hii budget kupunguza mzigo kwa hao wa Kenya.
And I'm happy the former Prime Minister, you have said we speak the truth. Welcome to the club of truthful men. It is true. The truth is good. It sets you free. Ukweli ni kwamba bei ya unga iko juu. Ukweli pia ni kwamba when the hardship government was there, unga ilikuwa 240, imeteremuka ni 170, hamukufanya maandamano. That is the truth.
President William Ruto's cabinet took Odinga head-on regarding his defiance to speak up on what he called oppressive violence by the state, telling Odinga to give the government time to serve, as Ruto won the election legitimately.
Wakati wa President William Ruto na wa Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Na wewe ni muungwana, hapo mbele tumekuserve, umekuwa kwa hiyo serikali ambaye ilitufukuza. Now this is now another government. Asante sana. I just wanted to speak the truth to the power.
Ukweli wa mambo ambao ni lazima sasa tutambue ni kwamba uchaguzi uliisha mwezi wa August mwaka jana, na Wakenya walichagua Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto kama rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
The leaders, however, put a show of unity in the ongoing bipartisan talks, which they committed themselves to ensure they are successful. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said he has no apologies to make on the Kikuyu community getting majority appointments in the Kenya Kwanza regime. Apul Kamau, TV47.
And from matters politics, the widow of a revered Mau Mau fighter, Dedan Kimathi Mukami Kimathi, was laid to rest today in her home in Jobini, that is in Nyandarua County. And as Ronnie Reagan reports, President William Ruto has officially announced that he will officially launch the search for the remains of Dedan Kimathi.
At 6 a.m., the family of the late Elosi Mukami Kimathi arrived at the Lee Funeral Home here in Nairobi. The somber mood could tell it all.
This is still the family and the extended family.
At 7 a.m., the mourners who had gathered here had a chance to pay their last respect to the late Mukami Kimathi. Those faces had a story to tell, perhaps considering that the late Mukami Kimathi has been in the courts seeking compensation for the alleged damages from the British government for the unlawful treatment during the colonial era and later being ignored by the previous regimes. The hearse-carrying her remains left the Lee Funeral Home for Nyandarua some minutes past 8 a.m. and was escorted by 2 police cars. Mukami was eulogized as a heroine who had the interest of the nation at heart.
Miezi miwili tu watoe mzee afunguliwe nini mapingu.
President William Ruto, while addressing the mourners, promised that his government will launch an official search of the body of revered Mau Mau fighter Dedan Kimathi, who was executed by the colonial government and buried at the Committee Maximum Prison in 1957.
The government of Kenya will work with you and all those who have the history of where this great hero, our independence hero, the man who paid the ultimate price for us to be a free nation, that we will find him and we will give him a decent, befitting national send-off.
Ronnie Reagan, TV47.
Well, let's focus on something else here, and the exhumation exercise in Chakahola Forest has been suspended for 2 more days. This even as the number of people missing in that forest has hit more than 600. Elizabeth Atieno tells us more.
The deep and shallow mass graves in the Chakahola Forest have shaken the entire nation. The exhumation of bodies unearthing the horrific scenes and incidents that remained hidden and buried in the forest for over 4 years. What's more worrying is an increase in the number of exhumed bodies. Detectives from the homicide unit have today exhumed 22 bodies in the Chakahola massacre, rising the total number of bodies exhumed to 201. Friday recorded the highest number of bodies pulled out in a single day at 29.
Ile timu yetu ya maofisa ambao huenda msituni kuwatafuta wale wenzetu ambao wanahusika, ama wale ambao bado huenda wako pale msituni, haijaweza kupata mtu tena leo.
So far, 26 people linked to controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie have been arrested. Coast Regional Commissioner Rhoda Onyancha, while giving the daily update at the Chakahola Command Center, said the operation has been suspended until Monday.
Investigation inaendelea kama kawaida kila siku. Ile timu ambayo inaingia msituni kutafuta wenzetu inaendelea, lakini kwa ile forensic team ambayo inahusika na mambo ya kufukua mili, tutaweza kusimama ama wataweza kuchukua siku 2 ili waweze kupanga mambo ambayo yanahitajika, na tunarejea kazi ya ufukuo Jumanne.
A total of 610 have been reported missing at the tracing center, with 14 family members reunited with their kin rescued from the forest. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47.
Right, let's focus on the finance bill furor now. And President William Ruto has yet again defended the move to impose a 3% housing levy to employers and employees. The head of state, who was speaking in Njabini, Nyandarua County, during the burial ceremony of Mukami Kimathi, outlined that the move to build houses for Kenyans will create job opportunities to the youth. However, the Federation of Kenyan Employers has lamented that the numerous tax changes in the bill could see a retrenchment of employees so as to cut costs. Take a look.
Powerful, balanced.
As the deadline for submitting views on the 2023 finance bill draws closer, the Federation of Kenyan Employers, FKE, has faulted the government for what it has termed as unwillingness to engage in talks on the grey areas that are in the bill. This is after the majority whip of the National Assembly, Silvana Sosoro, Friday noted that legislators will rubber stamp the bill as is.
With the fact that government does not lose, I also want to assure you that even the finance bill will pass.
According to FKE, the 3% proposed in the housing levy for both the employer and the employee is high and could result to shrinking of workforce in the formal sector.
The problem on job creation is simply that employers cannot create jobs when they are being taxed out of business.
Economic analyst Professor Fred Ogola also points that despite President William Ruto promising to create more jobs in his Kenya Kwanza manifesto, his move to increase the taxes might be a scenario of him shooting himself in the foot, as there might be a decrease in job creation.
So employers will find that it takes more to create single job, and therefore they are not going to create more jobs in the private sector. And therefore that means that we're going to have less job creation, less digitization of the economy.
However, while addressing mourners in Njabini during the funeral ceremony of Mukami Kimathi, the head of state maintained a hardline stance on the housing levy, noting that the move will help create jobs for the youth.
Na ndio mimi nataka niwaulize hapa Njabini tumepatiwa ekari 5.9 already in Njabini. Tumemaliza kuchora ile nyumba tutakuja kujenga hapa. Na hapa tukija kujenga hizo nyumba 500, tutahitaji vijana 1,500 wa kutusaidia kujenga hiyo manyumba.
And if the government implements and does it, it would mean therefore they have to remove certain statutory deductions that are being deducted, or even the loans that the teachers have taken from SACCOs and banks will have to be stopped for them to include the 3%.
Solidarity forever.
Now, meanwhile, western part of Kenya has been ranked as the most affected by illicit brew consumption at the rate of 23.8%. That's according to NACADA, and over 2 million litres has been confiscated since the crackdown was launched across the country since the beginning of the year. Reporter Wanji Sostin has spoken to residents about the illegal brew menace and filed the following report.
Sitafanya job vizuri.
Vijana wetu wanastahili wajue kwamba Hata ukilewa leo, ukiamka asubuhi hiyo pombe imeisha, shida zako hazijaisha.
Bungoma County is among counties in Western region that has been greatly affected by illicit brew consumption. That is according to the National Authority for Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA. According to NACADA, some of the counties have legalized consumption of traditional liquor, with Bungoma County yearning to pass the Busa bill. But why do Kenyans consume illicit brew? We visit Muyayi village in Kandui constituency, Bungoma County, to experience firsthand the reality of illicit brew consumption. Maize crop covers the widest area under cultivation here, as many rely on this crop as their source of livelihood. Many people have, however, died because of illicit brew consumption. Wycliffe Nyongesa, the area manager, narrates how a 64-year-old woman who was living in this abandoned house died thanks to the illicit brew.
Ni miezi miwili imepita, yeye alikuwa anaishi kwa nyumba akiwa peke yake. Hata baada ya kunywa pombe hakuweza kuwa na mtu mwenye anaweza kumpatia hata maji ya kunywa ama kumpatia chochote. Na kabla hiyo tukio ya kifo tumekuwa tukimpata akiwa unconscious, ili tukimsaidia akienda hospitali, akitibiwa, akirudi. Lakini tulijaribu kuongea na yeye kuhusu mambo na pombe ili apunguze ama aache na pombe, lakini ikawa ni kwake ilikuwa ni kitu imekolea katika mwili wake. So haikuwa rahisi yeye kuacha pombe, na hatimaye ikafikia wakati ya kifo.
A few meters from here we meet Mama Mildred Wabwile. Her son, who is a student at one of the local universities, has been affected by the consumption.
Kulewa kwenye analewa kulifanya akaanza kukorogana na familia. Tunajaribu kupembeleza kidogo tuone akirudi shuleni aendelee na masomo yake. Tunajua kwamba itamsaidia.
Almost all families here have a story to tell about illicit brew. If they are not affected, then they have felt its effects. The brew has not spared any, from teachers to doctors and even boda operators.
Mimi niko na familia, niko na bibi na watoto wawili. Ni ile tu bibi kunivumilia.
Wenzetu ambao tunaendesha nao pikipiki wamekufa kwa sababu ya hii hali ya pombe.
Lack of jobs has been attributed to the high cases of alcohol abuse in this area.
Wameingia kwa ulevi kwa sababu ya kukosa ajira. Wengine ni kwa kukosa malezi bora. Anaona akikunywa ataweza kulala.
Ule udhofu tu wa nidhamu na watoto wazazi kutokuwajibika kwa ajili ya elimu ya watoto.
Uchangiaji mwingi ni kukaa idle, hawana kazi.
The residents are now calling on police officers to cooperate with local leadership in efforts to curb illicit brew, condemning them of engaging in corruption.
Inakuwa kwamba wanaweza kuhitaji kukunywa pombe lakini hawana pesa, so inabidi wanajiingiza kwa vitu ambayo havistahili, mambo ya ulevi pamoja na bangi. Kuna baadhi ya maafisa wa polisi ambayo wanasunga around wakichukua pesa kidogo kidogo. So hiyo inamaanisha kwamba hata kama tunaweza kupiga vita bombe na hatujashikana kwa pamoja, tunaona kwamba sisi pekee yetu hatuwezi kumaliza.
Tumekuwa na watoto wachanga ambao tumekuwa nao hapa wameanza wizi kwa sababu wamekosa pesa ya kununua pombe, sasa wameingia katika wizi.
Serikali yetu ikikomiti wa vijana wetu na ajira kidogo kidogo wawe busy, wasiwe idle. Hao nafikiri ulevi utapungua.
And retired KDF soldiers under the umbrella Veterans for Peace have applauded the government's move to allocate funds for ex-soldiers aside from their normal pension plan. The Executive Director for Kenya Veterans for Peace, Nelson Sechere, also commended the Azimio la Umoja team for giving dialogue a chance in the bipartisan talks. Violet Oma tells us more.
Speaking at a burial ceremony of the late Michael Muruli, a son to the ex-soldier in Muranda, Shinyalu Sub-County, the Executive Director of Kenya Veterans for Peace, Nelson Sechere, said passing the Veterans Bill last year was a reprieve to the retired soldiers in the country.
The veterans are facing quite a lot of issues, but we appreciate the government for what they have recently given. From last year when there was the Veterans Bill of 2022, now every veteran has something to take home every monthly basis, apart from the retirement benefit that they already had. the pension. We have, depending on the rank of the officer, there's something small they take home.
Sachere said the funds will come in handy for veterans at a time when Kenyans are facing harsh economic times.
May not be sufficient, but we are saying for the economy, it is fine. Because if you see the other discipline, for example, the police, they could be in a worse position than even the military. So we are not very happy, but we are saying there's something happening.
On the controversial Finance Bill 2023, Sachere said that the 3% housing tax should not be mandatory to all.
90% of Kenyans don't have homes. They don't have homes. They are renting or they are staying somewhere that is not their own. Countries that are on the same level like us, for example, Zambia, they are having a similar arrangement for housing. So housing depends. Housing is our primary need. So the government wants to be sure that it's taking care of their citizens. And I think that is, from where I sit, that is a good idea. If they impose it to be a mandatory law, for those who are employed is okay. But the unemployed, it will be unfair.
He also commended the opposition for warming up to the bipartisan talks to resolve key issues in the country.
We also support the fact that there is a discussion going on negotiations and agreements to bring about peace. Tunashukuru sana what the President and Honorable Raila Odinga are doing. That is what should be done for any civilized community. Without dialogue, anything cannot go anywhere. We have to talk about it. If we go back to demonstrations, we cannot solve the problem.
Violet Auma, TV47, Kakamega.
And to a story that has gained quite the social media frenzy. Joyce Sempele Malet, a teacher at a local primary school in Narok County, is now urging the local leaders to ensure a conducive learning environment for learners by ensuring better infrastructure development. Malet, who came into the limelight after a photo of her mending a pupil's torn dress went viral, has called on the county government to upgrade the standards of the school that lacks better amenities. Vera Alberta with the story.
Joyce Sempele Malet, a teacher at CRP Primary School in Narok County, has touched the hearts of many Kenyans after a photo of her mending a pupil's uniform while in class went viral on social media. A few days later, the 56-year-old teacher now says she was obligated to do the needful after a nail that was protruding from the pupil's seat accidentally tore her uniform.
Kuja darasani kuketi kwa kiketi, hivi viketi viko na misumeno, misumari, mtoto kukalia hivi ikashika nguo na mtoto kuamuka hivi nguo ikararuka.
Sabina Esho, the class teacher, took the photo but did not expect it to blow up on the internet and attract the attention of social media users.
Lengo langu la kupiga picha haikuwa ati ku make fun of it. Ilikuwa tunaona umadam akishona, nakumbuka mamangu mzazi.
Joyce says that the act is meant to encourage the other teachers to care for their pupils and that they should emulate kind acts.
Kuiweka kwa online, nilitaka advise the young ladies and the young men who are coming up to have that fatherly and motherly love.
She has urged the county government and local leaders to motivate teachers and students by improving the infrastructure in the school.
Tunawaomba sana hivyo ile vitu yote ambaye hakuna kwa hii shule, ambaye ndio imeweza kuleta mwalimu shujaa. Ninawaomba mkuje tukaweze kuangalia moja na ingine tukaweze kusuluhisha kwa sababu tunahitaji hii shule.
Vera Alberta, TV47, Nairobi.
And in the wonderful world of sports, Africa's fastest man, Ferdinand Omanyala, earlier today clocked 9.84 seconds to win men's 100-meter race at the 2023 Cape Kano Classic Continental Tour in Kasarani. Omanyala crossed the finish line, beating Kenneth Bednarek of USA and Jerome Blake of Canada. Commonwealth champion Mary Morak reclaimed her 800-meter title at the Cape Kano Classic with a season best of 1 hour 58.83 minutes ahead of